this is fun. Charlie Kirk ran to the defense of Tucker Carlson yesterday, but then ran away from it just as quickly. Before we get into Charlie Kirk's defense, this is the context for it. So more and more texts are being revealed from the Dominion lawsuit, which show that Fox News hosts explicitly knew behind the scenes that the election fraud stuff being peddled by Trump and the crazy surrounding him like Giuliani and Sidney Powell was bullshit. That, of course, they understood that, and yet publicly they were singing a very different tune. That's central to what Dominion needs to prove in this case. And more texts, as I said, are being revealed from some of the hosts, namely Tucker Carlson, showing how he really feels behind the scenes and how disparate that is from his public commentary, where he's paid tens of millions of dollars to peddle false information. The New York Times compiled 5 of the highlights of Tucker Carlson going after Donald Trump behind the scenes, but again, publicly being quite supportive. This is how Tucker really feels about Trump. This is from November 2020. So November 6th, right? Is that election day or close to it? Either way.
That would be, right?
Alex Pfizer, one of the producers who works on Tucker Carlson's show, I think that's his personal assistant. Pfeiffer, sorry. Pfeiffer says, Trump has a pretty low rate at success in his business ventures. Tucker Carlson responds, that's for sure. All of them fail. What he's good at is destroying things. He's the undisputed world champion of that. Okay. How about a few days later, on Trump saying he was going to skip Biden's inauguration, Tucker Carlson is texting another staffer. I'd heard that about the inauguration. Hard to believe. So destructive. It's disgusting. I'm trying to look away.
Smelling salts over here.
Weeks later, late November, Tucker Carlson's texting with Laura Ingraham. I had to make the White House disavow her, speaking about Sidney Powell, which they obviously should have done long before. Laura Ingraham says back, no serious lawyer could believe what they were saying, Carlson. But they said nothing in public. Pretty disgusting, which is what you're doing. But whatever. And now Trump, I learned this morning, is sitting back and letting them loose in the Senate. He doesn't care. I care. Well, you have a funny way of showing it. January 4th, 2 days before the storming of the Capitol, Tucker Carlson's texting with his staff saying, we are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. Quote, I hate him passionately. And here we go. I hate him. I hate him passionately. Here, after the Capitol, he says here, Trump has 2 weeks left. Once he's out, he becomes incalculably less powerful, even in the minds of his supporters. He is a demonic force, a destroyer, but he's not going to destroy us. I've been thinking about this every day for 4 years. Pfeiffer, his assistant, responds, you're right. I don't want to let him destroy me either. Okay,
what?
Tucker's assistant has a pretty high opinion of his importance. The Trump anger spiral is vicious, Carlson, that's for sure. Deadly. It almost consumed me in November when Sidney Powell attacked us. It was very difficult to regain emotional control. But I knew I had to. We've got 2 weeks left. We can do this. All right. So that's the context that you need to know. Because Tucker Carlson's bigger supporters in media are getting a little bit worried that he's not going to be able to keep up the facade once this kind of information gets to his viewers. Because they love Trump. This is the balance that they have to strike. This is incredibly damaging if it continues to percolate and people start to, in the sealed bubble of right-wing media, start to actually become aware of this. But here's what Charlie Kirk tweeted in response, trying to defend Tucker Carlson from these accusations. He later deleted this. He says, people are speculating about Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump, so I dug up this clip from AmFest, December 2022, of Tucker answering an audience question about what he thinks about Trump. So this is in the middle of these texts that we just read to you. This is what he's saying publicly. This is the video. Here we go. That Charlie Kirk ended up tweeting out. And you can see why he deleted it, right? Because this video of Tucker Carlson praising Trump, in contrast to what he was saying behind the scenes, This doesn't help Tucker Carlson publicly. In fact, it hurts it. But here we go. It hurts him. Here we go.
And I should also add, since why not, I actually love Donald Trump as a guy. And I know Trump. I've known Trump for 20 years because I work in the media, and I just have always gotten along with him. And I think he's one of the funniest people I've ever talked to in my life. I think he's got this unbelievable life force to him. Talking to Trump, especially when it's not an interview, you don't actually want to interview Trump. That's a nightmare because you can't get him to answer any questions. Because it's the Trump train, you can get on or off, but you can't steer it. Yeah, don't ever interview Trump. But talking to Trump is one of the great joys, one of the great animal joys of life, because he exudes this kind of animal joy. And I love that, and I do, and the characterizations of Trump as like this force of evil. It's like,
Destroyer,
no, this is Liz
maybe?
Cheney. I'm sorry, that's not. Like, what are you even talking about? I mean,
he calls him a demonic force in these texts.
And I've said it. I mean, I criticize my own children, and they're not allowed to criticize me. Just kidding. But
Nah.
I think there are plenty of things to criticize about Trump. I mean, he's a human being. But the idea that he's like this personally some monster is like absurd. It's like it's just another lie. They always tell the opposite of the truth. Trump is like totally charming and engaging and fun and interesting. And the last thing I'll say about Trump that I really love is that his insights into people, which are always expressed in this, because I use words for a living, so I notice how people express things. Trump expresses himself in this way that's like completely original. Completely original. But his insights into people are like, they're like unbelievable. Now, I don't think he's that great at hiring, just being honest.
Baby shit.
To put it mildly, but into other people, like, what do you think of so-and-so? And Trump will sum them up perfectly. World leaders, that's who this person is. It's like, it's truly a gift.
Did Trump write this speech for him? Like, I could hear Trump say some of these things about it. Like, I'm totally charming. I have what they call an animal joy about me.
Yeah.
It's so weird, like bizarre.
I mean, to recap, and I'll give you guys the floor, but behind the scenes, within that same 2-month period, November to January, that's in December, he's calling him a demonic force.
This is from December 2022, though, right?
Oh, sorry. Okay, there we go. I mixed that up. Either way.
It still doesn't make it any better. Right.
It doesn't make it better, right? But still, that Charlie Kirk is trying, and this is why he deleted it, to put that out there in order to exonerate Tucker Carlson. No, man, that makes him look way worse because it shows how much of a liar he is.
Also, people say things about another person in public and then say something completely different about that same person when they're speaking in a private conversation. A public speech does not eradicate any sort of private text that come out. It's not like, oh, I got you. Look what this guy said in public. No, people talk shit in private all the time.
Yeah.
I want to bring this to Glenn Greenwald, who defended Tucker in this, saying that he posted this article, or did this segment around the same time, saying, "Time for Sidney Powell to show us her evidence." But you actually read that story, and it's like things like, "But the media don't want you to know. They're not interested." If you watched the coverage after his press conference, you saw credentialed reporters, some of who acknowledged it. Oh crap! I just got my phone just switched over. For more than a week, Powell has been all over conservative media. This was the criticism of Powell that Greenwald wants us all to give his buddy / meal ticket Tucker credit for. For more than a week, Powell has been all over conservative media with the following story: "This election was stolen by a collection of international leftists." Blah blah blah. Now, to be perfectly clear, we did not dismiss any of it. We don't dismiss anything anymore, particularly when it's related to technology. We've talked too many times to too many Silicon Valley whistleblowers, and we've seen too much for 4 years on the air. We literally do UFO segments, not because we're crazy or even interested in the subject, but because there's evidence that UFOs are real and everyone lies about it. There's evidence that a lot of things that are responsible people dismiss out of hand as ridiculous are in fact real. The louder the Yale Political Science Department and the staff of the Atlantic magazine scream conspiracy theory, the more interested we tend to be. That's usually a sign you're over the target. A lot of people with impressive sounding credentials in this country are frauds who have no idea what they're doing. They're children posing as authorities. And when they're caught, they lie and then they blame you for it. We see that every day. It's a central theme of our show. That's a long way of saying we took Sidney Powell seriously with no intent. So that's like how much he had to couch that actual thing, which happened after I think Sidney Powell criticized him for not having or inviting her on the show.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, it's easy to forget because we're so far away from it now, but Fox News wasn't pro-Trump when he first entered the race in the primaries.
Right.
You know, they stacked the audience against Trump to make him look even less desirable. And it was for the same reason then that, you know, Tucker Carlson switched his position to the reason why. And it's the same reason why people are now abandoning Tucker Carlson, because when you're in that sort of right-wing grift economy or any grift economy, the main rule amongst the grifters in that economy is that you don't spook the suckers. Like you're not supposed to spook the people who you're trying to appeal to, who don't fully understand the goals of Fox News, who don't fully understand the goals of Republican Party, the people who would self-describe themselves as independent, et cetera, et cetera. And they felt that Trump was going to spook the suckers. He was crass. He was, braggadocious. He was, very gaudy in a way that Republicans thought that or rather the Republican establishment who was in control of that grift didn't really want to make the face of themselves. When he eventually became the face because they've been empowering that base for a long time, they were forced to bend the knee to him. And, now they risk spooking the suckers again because Tucker Carlson and a lot of these other grifters are having their private thoughts revealed. And it's like, oh, it turns out that they're aware that this is just a grift, that they're grifting, and the people that they are appealing to are suckers to them who need to be protected from the truth of their opinions. And, I think that ultimately we see this occur in crypto. We see this occur in other types of economies, but it's just revealing to how transparently they know what they're saying is false and that it's not very popular. They know if they were to reveal their true thoughts or if the head of their party were to be somebody like Trump, it makes them very unpopular. So they have to hide those ideas. And that's what he does in that little clip there. He goes, people want to pretend like Trump is a monster. They want you to believe that he's just going to destroy the world. And then behind the scenes they're tweeting, he's going to destroy the world. Oh my God. Because the Republican Party, the Fox News, the far right demagogues, their main playbook is to pretend like you're exaggerating how bad they are so that they can still appeal to, normal people, we'll say, people in the middle, people who somehow haven't made up their minds about Republicans and Democrats or left versus right. And, it's all just in pursuit of those people.
Yeah,
the few that exist.
Right. Well, it is this immense cynicism at the heart of the entire right-wing media project, which is just how can we rile up the masses enough so that we have electoral success? I mean, we don't need a ton since we're minoritarian and we've rig the rules so that we can get elected even in presidential races when we don't have the popular vote, and we can gerrymander no matter what. But we just need enough. We just need enough popular support. And so they're constantly walking that fine line. And they were afraid that Trump was going to be to cause that very delicate balance to become unbalanced. And in fact, though, it ended up working out for them. And so they were for a really uncomfortable position, Fox News, of being beholden to somebody other than their own right-wing media ecosystem that they have created. And so the power dynamics were really shifted with Donald Trump. And so that's what creates that consternation with a guy like Tucker Carlson. But I know that I should know all of this and know that they're this craven and this dishonest, and we can glean that almost with 100% certainty by their public statements. But to have their private conversations in the background showing just how purposefully dishonest they are, and wondering how they can have that cognitive dissonance to continue to get up in the morning, besides the millions of dollars that they make, and keep up this complete, grift, it's just still jarring to me as we get more and more information out of this Dominion suit.